It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river, joeskarting.com. New specials are going up at Joe's Karting. Premium memberships are available. They've been available for quite a while, and premium memberships got you discounts on higher-end purchases, buying in bulk pretty much. Now, premium memberships offer a lot more. You can find out more at joeskarting.com. Again, karting with a K. You can go over to the Facebook page. They have a video about the premium memberships and where it can get you. Buddy was telling me the other day that they took one of their, he called it a whale. Like casinos. Like, Dirk, you're a whale at the casino. One of their bigger clients, and he calculated up if they would have applied this in 2016, the beginning of 2016, he'd have saved over $170 going to Joe's Karting. So this is going to be some big savings for you. Again, joeskarting.com, karting with a K. Some great deals, great events going on over at Joe's Karting. Make sure you head over to their Facebook page, head over to the website, and follow them on Twitter so you can get all the updated information. We got a big show lined up for you today. In turn number 1, we will talk about the biggest news of the week. It knocked them out. I mean, flat out, you're in a fight with Mike Tyson, you're down on the ground for a count.
What?
I thought this was fake news for a while. For about an hour on Monday morning when this broke, or was it Tuesday that it broke?
Tuesday.
That Carl Edwards was announcing his departure from racing. And you and I have had probably the most text conversations we've ever had in a week about this, because it's just the craziest story it is literally the craziest thing I can think of in a very long time.
Well, I mean, he came out and said he was just not going to race in 2017.
Yeah.
And then, there were several articles on that, and something was being updated by somebody about every hour.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, about 2 p.m, it came out and said that he was retiring immediately.
Yeah.
Well, not racing for 1 year and retiring are totally different things at 37 years old.
We're going to get to breaking down the press conference in turn number 2. We'll play audio clips from Carl Edwards, his 3 reasons of why he's leaving the sport, also his thoughts about the race at Homestead, and then we've also got some audio from Joe Gibbs that I think is really important. So that'll happen in turns 1 and 2. We'll break down Carl Edwards, the retirement, our thoughts in turn number 1, and then the audio clips in turn number 2, and kind of converse about that a little bit. Turns 3 and 4, Jeff Aikey is going to join us. Driver the number 77.
Jeff
he is
Aikey.
Is it Aikey?
Aikey.
Okay. I'm probably going to get that wrong again later on in the interview, but we'll see what happens. We're going to talk to Jeff about his time behind the wheel. He's not done racing yet, so we'll have some conversations about his winning the Deary Brothers Championships, having the most all-time wins in the Deary Brothers Series, winning the Boone Super Nationals, 6, 7 times now?
4 in a row.
We got a lot to talk about with Jeff, so we'll do that in turns 3 and 4. All right, let's get to the conversation about this Carl Edwards situation. Tuesday morning, I get into work, and I see that Fox News has broken the story that Carl Edwards set to make an announcement that he will be leaving racing immediately. He will no longer be driving, and I wanted to key in on those words because I thought it was interesting that the initial statement said nothing about retiring, and it didn't talk about NASCAR. It just said that Carl was leaving driving and that he was not driving in 2017. It didn't say racing. It didn't say retiring from NASCAR. It didn't say leaving NASCAR. It felt like it was very carefully worded to not mislead anybody to any future information that would be coming out. So, and you and I were talking about this, Dirk, about how I thought it was really interesting that they didn't use those words. Later on, as the story kept getting re-reported and rehashed and talked about, the word retirement started coming out a lot.
Yeah, like I said, it was later in the afternoon. I think I'd read 4 articles before I saw that word come out. Everything just kept saying he is not going to drive in 2017.
Yeah.
So immediately you think of a health issue. He's got something going on. He banged his head, or, maybe he's, God forbid, he's got a cancer deal and he's going to be doing chemo for 6 months or something,
That was my assumption with the way that it came out, the way that it all happened as fast as it did. Because let's face it, in this day and age, when somebody's contemplating something, you could pick up on it. We all knew for quite a while that Greg Biffle was coming to end at his term at Roush Fenway. Had he had a monstrous 2016, it'd have all changed around. But you could just see the writing on the wall with the way that both teams were talking, the way Greg was kind of just going about the way he wasn't happy at Roush, and he was just going to end out. You could see that writing on the wall, and you didn't see this coming. And there's a lot of reasons why even still today, when we record this show, I'm still perplexed by this. After listening to the press conference that happened on Wednesday, which we'll get to some of those clips here in a minute, I'm still perplexed at the way this whole thing laid out. And we'll break it down a little bit more here. There are so many things that have to be done, set in place before they even start thinking about getting to the track at Daytona. By the time they're finishing up at Homestead, a lot of these guys are already working on their Daytona cars. They've got one because each driver has to take 3 or 4 cars to Daytona because of all the races that happen during the speed weeks and leading up to the 500. There was one weekend one time at Daytona when Carl wrecked 6 different cars. In the final car that he wrecked,
that was just like 3 years ago.
Yeah, in the final car he wrecked, he joked that if I wreck this car, we can't race on Sunday. He ended up wrecking it Sunday during the Daytona 500 because we have no more cars left for me to drive if I wreck this one.
Well, and that was in the whole Roush stable. Those weren't 6 Carl Edwards cars. He probably had 3. That was probably a backup for Biffle and a backup for Stenhouse, and or 2 for one of the other guys.
Stenhouse wasn't there yet, but so these guys have to start working on these cars months in advance. Not only that, they have photo shoots because they have to get hero cards printed, so they got to get the photo shoots done. There was so much stuff that he went and did in December in anticipation for the 2017 season to all of a sudden put the brakes on it and say, "I'm walking away," is really odd to me.
Well, that's like we were talking, about these conspiracy theories and stuff like that, it's the people behind Eris that want Daniel Suarez to move up. And, some people have said, all this makes sense now because he went up and congratulated Joey Logano's people after Logano took him out instead of fighting them. And I said, well, first of all, as far as that one goes, Carl wouldn't go up and fight a pit crew.
Yeah.
He might have had some words with the crew chief.
We've seen him have words with drivers before. There's that video clip of him and Matt Kenseth having a conversation before. I think they were still teammates at Roush at that time, and they were having some issues on the track, and Carl went over, and you could tell he was upset, and then he kind of flinched at Matt like he was going to hit him, but he didn't. He was just kind of, posturing.
Trying to intimidate
right,
him.
Right. And Matt flinched back, like, defending himself a little bit. That was the most I've ever seen out of Carl.
Yeah, Carl has always been, as far as drivers go, pretty laid back, realizes that, he's got the tiger by the tail, so to speak. And that's another thing, when you look at what he's walking away from, he has got to be one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win the title in 2017.
That's what I can't get my head around. If this truly is, he said it so many times, this is a personal decision. This was my decision. If this truly is the case, he's walking away from a prime opportunity in his prime. I mean, he's 37 years old.
That's what I mean. He's got anywhere from, 45 to 50-year-old to drive, so another 8 to 13 years, and he's keeps himself in tip-top shape, so he's not going to be, one of these guys that is out there huffing and puffing, climbing in the car at 45 or 50.
Right.
He's in excellent condition. He's married to a doctor. I mean, she takes good care of him.
And this isn't the case of, like, Tony Stewart, where it was diminishing returns. He was clearly not the same Tony that we saw years before all the stuff had happened off the track, and the new cars that Tony didn't really care for, the lower horsepower. This wasn't a diminishing. Carl was 13 laps away from winning the championship, and a debris caution took that away. That's luck. That's bad luck.
Well,
that's not talent at all.
And I just wonder, exactly how much that took out of him. I mean, that was the 3rd time that he's been right there. He's been at the doorstep, knocking on the door.
And let me clarify that it's not talent that took that championship away. It was talent that put him in that situation. Right. It was luck that took that championship away. I want to clarify that. Yeah, bad luck.
And, but there's just some of the things he said during his press conference, like there was one part where he talked about, he was wanting to spend more time with the people that matter in his life. Yeah. And granted, these guys are away a ton. That's why when the kids are out of school, they're with them every weekend.
Yeah.
They're in that motor coach. The wives come to a lot of races, and that's all good. NASCAR's changed their rules on the drivers' kids and stuff, being able to come into the garage area, to spend time, at the hauler and stuff like that with them, go to drivers' meetings, go to church on Sunday morning before the race, all that stuff they're allowed to do now.
Yeah.
And, 15 years ago, that never happened. They couldn't do that.
Right.
So NASCAR realizes the time restraint on these guys, but Carl said he'd entertain doing TV. Well, these TV guys basically carry the same schedule as the drivers.
Yeah.
They put in a 60-hour work week every week. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's not, if time was an issue with spending time with his family, it's not TV he's going to. And he addressed that. He said, and it came out later before the press conference, that Fox had confirmed that they have not been working with Carl on becoming one of the major. They have a broadcast team.
It was
They're
something.
set.
It was something you and I had talked about
Yeah.
before we ever heard that. Fox came out. Was it
Right.
Is he going to the booth?
Yeah.
Did he get a big offer from Fox?
Is this another Steve Letarte thing where he wanted to spend more time with the family? He didn't want to put up with the pressures and the rigors of being a crew chief anymore. So he opted for a less pressure, same time commitment, but just far less stress kind of a job, and he still gets to be involved in the sport. And after that press conference with Carl, I don't think that's it at all.
No,
I don't think he's headed to the booth at all.
No, he said he hadn't. He said he hadn't had any offers.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not something that he's entertaining.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in turn number 2. We'll get to the audio clips. We'll continue our conversation about our thoughts on Carl Edwards doing the whole, is it retirement? Is he walking away? We'll find out here coming up in turn number 2 on the front stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 2, presented by Quaker Steak and Lube at Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the front stretch. Today is Divisional Sunday. You can catch the Steelers and the Chiefs at 12:30, and the Packers and the Cowboys play at 3:40 today for divisional rounds for the NFL playoffs. You can get all the action on the big screens of Quaker Steak and Lube at Council Bluffs. And we want to say thanks to Quaker Steak for putting on the Chili Bowl Saturday night so that all of our fans can come down and watch that action. And thank you for the specials they put on. Those kinds of little things that we do at Quaker Steak, those are little testers. We're going to try to do these more and more often. And frankly, if people show up to watch them, then Quaker Steak will do them more and more often, and we'll get to watch some of those big national events like the Dirt on Dirt pay-per-view events. He'll buy the pay-per-view event, and you can come down to Quaker Steak and watch the race, enjoy some beer and some wings. It's better than sitting in your house and eating a loaf of bread or whatever you can only afford to eat if you're sitting at home. Anyways, so that's Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. All right, enough jib-jabbing from me. Let's get to this press conference with Carl Edwards and his 3 reasons why he decided to walk away from racing. Here's reason number 1.
Number 1, I'm personally satisfied with my career.
There's not a racer on the track that hasn't won a title, that could have won titles. He's got 2 runners up, and this year, he had the title with 13 laps to go.
Yeah.
That title was his. So he's had 2 runner-up finishes, the tie with Stewart and the other runner-up, and now a 4th-place finish. Maybe he was thinking as he was cruising around there with 15 laps to go, the 3rd time's a charm.
Yeah, here's a clip later on in the press conference about that Homestead.
Let me tell you about Homestead, though. I'm glad you brought that up. With 30 laps to go, like 40 laps to go, 30 laps to go, 20 laps to go, that's what I live for. That is it. That is racing to me. Dave and I had worked all year to be in that moment, to battle with Jimmy, and then to be able to pass Joey and Kyle for the ultimate prize, driving just as hard as I could, and to be in that position and to know that day we were getting it done. That's what I live for. And that part of Homestead, for me personally, I won. That's what it's about. And the outcome, obviously, I wasn't happy with, and that's frustrating and everything. But I feel really good about that.
You say time and time again, these guys, their ultimate goal is to win a championship. And it sounds like, as far as he's concerned, all he's missing is the hardware. He's proven that he can be the top driver of the sport. And so with that audio clip, I say, okay, the fact that he would stay around just to win a championship, that one's out the window. Obviously, that after that statement, I'm going to take it for his word, and he doesn't need to win a championship to feel fulfilled in his career.
Oh, somebody's convinced him of that, because that's not Carl.
Okay.
I mean, I know him on a personal level. I mean, I'm on a first-name basis with the guy. When I see him at the racetrack, I get a hug. That's not Carl. You know, I honestly believe, and it's human nature to have a huge, such a huge disappointment affect you. I'm sure he was very depressed for, I'm going to say, a significant period of time. I mean, and again, it's just human nature. When you lose the way he did, the type
Not
of thing.
once.
Well,
Not twice.
Yeah, but
he's lost in 3 close championships.
Yeah, but this one was the one. This one he had one. The others he never had one. This one he had one.
Yeah.
You know, and he was 30 seconds a lap, so he was 7 minutes away from his title.
Yeah.
You know, and to lose it, I'm sure the psyche just exploded on him. I'm sure he went home and he was probably very quiet. You know, he had depression. He had to. It's human nature. You know, Carl's a guy, he puts his pants on one leg at a time. Everybody does.
There's a level of competition and competitiveness that is required in order to be in the upper premier series of NASCAR.
Level. Absolutely.
And that's what you're talking about right there. That in order to compete and to be as successful as Carl, you cannot have the attitude of finishing second, third, or fourth in the standings was as good as winning a championship. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said earlier, his wife is a doctor. Kate's a great lady. I'm sure she looks at this Earnhardt deal, you know, with his concussion and how he crashed, and the concussion really didn't take effect for a couple weeks, you know, and like Carl said, you know, is another one of his reasons. His health is good and he wants to keep it that way.
Right.
I'm sure they sat down and did a lot of talking over the winter. I mean a lot of talking. I'll bet they were laying in bed at night after the kids were asleep, and, you know, Carl's mind's going 90 miles an hour about this, and I'm sure he struggled with this decision for weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure he called Joe Gibbs when he finally made his decision and explained it all to him.
Well, and he talked to him really. We'll get to it when we get to Joe Gibbs' statement. Though he advised Joe when he was strongly considering it, and Coach Gibbs said, okay, take a couple of days and think about it. Let's get to reason number 2 that Carl gave us as to why he's decided to step away from racing.
Second reason is that, and I'm not going to get any sympathy from anyone in the room, but this is an all-encompassing thing. You guys, we do this, and it's full time. And not just the physical time, but I wake up in the morning thinking about racing. I think about it all day. I go to bed thinking about it, and I have dreams about racing. And that's just how it is. I've been doing that for 20 years, and I need to take that time right now and devote it to people and things that are important to me, things I'm really passionate about.
We're running out of time, so we can get to turn number 2 in the phone calls and to get to Jeff Aikey. So we already talked a little bit about this. The time commitment, these guys. Don't anybody ever tell me, well, they get paid plenty, so they could do. No. Let's see you travel for 38 weeks out of the year, spend 4 to 5 days away from your family.
38 races a year. The travel's about 45 weeks a year.
You're right. And the off season is a blink. Man, I tell you, this season, the 2016 year for the front stretch, we went to more races than we've ever been to. And by the time we finished at Kansas in October, I was done. I was done traveling. I was done being in a hotel room. I was done being gone. I was just tired. And we were only in hotels 2-3 weekends out of the month for about 3 months in a row, maybe 4 months in a row. We really didn't spend near as much time as these guys do. So I'm going to give him that one, too. He's tired of being gone, especially with his wife. She doesn't have near as much time to be on the road with him like Delana Harvick does, or Joey Logano's girlfriend.
An unemployed wife.
Right. Or she cannot, and the kids are going to be with mom. Can't be at the track with Carl because Carl's got commitments. So not only is he spending time away from his wife, but also his kids. And that's, somebody said, no matter how much money you get paid, you cannot buy back that time with your children.
No, you can't.
That's a good point. That's a great point somebody pointed out, and I remember seeing on social media. Reason number 3.
And the third reason is my health. I can stand here healthy, and that's a testament, after all the racing I've done and all the stupid stuff I've done in a race car, that is a true testament to NASCAR, to the tracks, to the people who've built my race cars, to my competitors, and to the drivers who've come before me who haven't been so fortunate. Having said that, though, it's a risky sport. I'm aware of the risks. I don't like how it feels to take the hits that we take, and I'm a sharp guy, and I want to be a sharp guy in 30 years. And so those risks are something that I want to minimize.
There you go. Personal time with the family. Feels satisfied, which you don't buy that one.
I don't buy that at all.
And his health. I buy that one. I thought all along it was about his health. Turns out it was, but not for what I thought it was. Turns out that he is satisfied, or he wants to walk away before he turns into somebody like Bobby Allison, before he turns into one of these NFL guys. And quite frankly, his conversations with Dale Jr. may have hastened that a little bit, because I expected him to finish out. I think all of us expected it to be around for at least another 5 years. At least.
Oh, like I said, I was thinking 45 to 50. The guy loves driving a race car. Mm-hmm. And he said that just as our interview this summer with David Starr. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm a race car driver. That's what I do. Yeah. When I'm behind that wheel of the race car, life is perfect, and Carl's the same way. So
there's more to this story. Joe Gibbs did a press conference just after Carl, just before they announced Daniel Suarez, and gave this interview. And this, I think, kills another one of the conspiracy theories that is out there. Here's Joe Gibbs.
This was such a surprise. I was all set for the holidays to have a little R&R and hang around the house and everything. And I was in a meeting, and they said, hey, Carl stopped by. And I figured it was going to be, hey, have a great Christmas and everything. And when he sat down in front of me and shared what he was thinking, I was totally surprised. And the first thing I did, I said, look, this is a huge decision here. I said, let's spend some time thinking about this. And so we took 4 days, let Carl really go back, spend time with the family. And then we got hooked up again on the phone. And I could tell that he was really committed, to stepping away from racing. And so I just wanted to say to everybody here, I was totally surprised. There was nothing about contracts, future talks. I just want to say to everybody here, it was totally a surprise. I think something that Carl felt like it was very important for him, and he had chose this time to step away. So that it was a total surprise.
There you go. Total surprise. Now again, we're running out of time here, but I want to try to get to this. One of the big conspiracies I keep hearing is that Eris forced Carl out of the car. I think I'm going to take Joe Gibbs for his word, because these guys don't lie.
Well, Joe's not involved in the day-to-day operations with the team, so he may not have known.
I think as the head of the group, if anybody would have been, if the sales rep, the guy who's in charge of making sure that Eris is taken care of, at some point in time, they'd have had a conversation with Joe Gibbs saying Eris is really pushing to have Carl out of that car and Daniel in the car. I don't buy for a second that Eris had anything to do with this, because of that simple fact that Joe Gibbs said this is a complete surprise. They had photo shoots lined up. They had the fire suits ready to go. They had banners, commercials, hero cards made. They had everything lined up, and it was happening. He'd been doing all this stuff up until sitting down in Joe's office and saying, I'm considering leaving racing. I think that's why this was a complete surprise to everybody, and including us in the media and fans. It's insane to think that the guy just walked away like this, but after hearing the statements from him, I think it's more plausible that it was his decision to walk away. I just don't think we know the complete story of why.
Yeah, I don't think we know the complete story of why. The only thing that'll prove the conspiracy theory correct is if he comes back in 2018, and because he did say if he came back to racing, he was going to talk to Coach, which he means Joe Gibbs. Yeah, he's known as Coach. Everybody at the races calls him Coach. Yeah, so he doesn't go by Joe or anything. It's Coach. But if Carl is in the 20 car after the 2017 season, so Daytona of 2018, and because I do believe Matt Kempthus at 45, I believe this will be his last year.
I agree.
And Matt's not a fan for a guy, so I don't expect Matt to make a big announcement until very late in the year if he makes it during the season and not after the season.
Right.
Matt would love to win another title, and he's still competitive, but I expect him to walk away. He's got his boy racing ARCA cars and stuff now, and I expect him to get into that end of it.
Carl also dispelled the rumors that he was leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to join another team. And he said 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the line, a manufacturer has lured me away from Joe Gibbs Racing to start racing with them. That is not the case. He completely killed that. And the only theory out there that had a little legitimacy with that would be that Dodge is working actively to get back into the sport in 2018 or 2019. So the theory is that they pulled him away from Joe Gibbs to be their new driver in 2018, like Toyota was able to do with, Chevy was able to get Tony out of Stewart-Haas Racing, or out of Joe Gibbs Racing over to Stewart-Haas Racing. And the manufacturer pulled him out of there, and they opened up that opportunity. So, no, I don't buy that Eris had anything to do with it. I think Carl just simply is pulling a Barry Sanders. He's walking away from the sport at his peak when, really he can leave on a high note and leave everybody with a great taste in their mouth for his career and his chances to get into the Hall of Fame and him being an amazing driver.
Well, he doesn't have Hall of Fame credentials right now.
I agree.
Unfortunately,
Well, I think he does, but not first ballot, not second year or maybe third year. But if Mark Martin's in there, then Carl Edwards has got to be in there.
Mark Martin career covered so much more. I mean, yeah, I don't think 28 years, or 28 wins is enough to get you in the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion. I mean, there's got to be a number like 50 wins or something that gets you in there, or 40 wins.
I think it will eventually, but just not first year. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will get in because it's not just about wins or championships. It's also about being an ambassador for the sport, and he was one of the best.
Well, and he might get in on that more than, but that's not the driver's side of it, unfortunately. I mean, it's part of the driver's side. But, I don't think he's walking away from the sport with a good taste in his mouth after last year, unfortunately. And that's human nature.
I'm just really surprised.
He was so close.
I'm really surprised that being that close, you walk away. It's like having the prize is just out of your reach. Give it one more lunge. You had one more year on your contract. Give it one more lunge.
Hey, just something that's very relevant and on point right now is the quarterback for Clemson. What's his name? Watson. Last year, he lost in the championship game, and everybody expected him to turn pro, but he knew what team was coming back, so he didn't turn pro, and he come back this year and got his national title.
So do you think Carl saw some writing on the wall that maybe it was good to get out while the good was getting out?
There's no writing on the wall that says that anymore.
I know. That's what I'm crazy about. When you've got Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth as your teammates, they are the powerhouse. Any one of those four drivers could win the championship. You can't say that about any other organization.
He's with the best organization. Unfortunately, I'm not a Toyota fan. I like Gibbs, but he's in the best organization in the sport right now. I think maybe them or Penske. Tony Stewart's strong, but they don't have four teams there.
Right. They have Harvick and Busch are probably the two most logical guys to win a championship. Harvick more than Busch. Danica's a long ways away, and I don't have much faith in Clint until he shows me something on the track.
Right. He's going to have to show something when he comes back. So,
even
he walked
Hendrick.
away. He walked out of a powerhouse when, like I said, he was going to be a favorite. He's probably going to be one of the top 2 or 3 favorites to win the title in 2017. And I just don't buy any of the reasons he spouted. And I was glad, as we originally talked, I was thinking, wow, I hope that's not a health deal with any of his kids or his wife or his mom or dad, because he is close to his family. Family is important to the guy. So I was very glad that he didn't say, my mom's got cancer, I need to be around her. I'm glad he didn't say that. That was a big relief.
Yeah.
But
all right, Dirk, we're just going to have to end this conversation for today. We're running out of show, and we got to get over to turn number 3 and talk with Jeff Aikey about his time behind the wheel for a Deary Brothers late model and so much more for the Legends of the Dirt series. We're going to come back next weekend. If there's more to cover on this topic, we'll make sure and cover it next Sunday when we come back for another edition of The Front Stretch. In the meantime, stick around for turns 2 and 3 of the Legends of the Dirt series. Jeff Aikey coming up next here on The Front Stretch.
There is no such thing as an off-season at Joe's Karting. No matter how cold it is outside or how much snow is on the ground, you'll always be warm and dry inside at Joe's Karting, the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Located in Council Bluffs on 23rd Avenue next to AMC Theater. Find Joe's Karting on Facebook or head to joeskarting.com for hours, pricing, and a schedule of booked parties. That's joeskarting.com. Karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's Karting today and find out what all your friends already know.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 3, and it's time to kick off this weekend's Legends of the Dirt series. We're talking with the man who has won the most races for a Deary Brothers series, has the most series championships, and as far as I understand, has the most IMCA Super National titles. And that is Mr. Jeff Aikey, driver of the number 77 out of Cedar Falls. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad.
Jeff, let's talk about this early career stuff. How did you get exposed into racing?
Well, it was a long time ago. I started racing, I think, 1980.
That's not that long ago, Jeff.
That's
only 2 years before I was born. That doesn't count.
That's a bad deal, ain't it? Oh. No, my parents used to take me out to Tuna Speedway here in Waterloo to watch all the time, and back then you had to have a driver's license to race. They wouldn't let you race unless you had a license. Well, I wasn't old enough, so I had to wait till I turned 16, and then I went down, and there was a Fuzzy Lydell lived not too far from us. And he used to race, and he kind of run out of money and quit. And I went down and asked him if he'd help me build a car, and he says, sure. And that's how I got started. And, man, we just I raced, I think, street stocks for like a year and a half. And then I went right to sportsman and didn't race that very long. I won all kinds of stuff in that. And then I went to late model, and here we are.
How did you pick going circle track racing over to the drag strip? Because I know you got the drag strip right there in the area.
That didn't ever do nothing for me. You know, I live right by the drag strip, and I'll be honest with you, I've never went.
Really? I raced over there in the early 80s. I went to a couple Division 5 points meets there, and the only thing I always got a kick out was going over there because they had that turkey farm there just south of the speedway, and you look like it snowed at the racetrack in the middle of July or something. It was all them turkeys.
You hit that on the nose, man. There's a lot of turkey there.
Man, I tell you, if you guys were near a turkey processing plant, I feel for you for the smell.
Well, I don't know if they processed them there, but it was a turkey farm right there, and they served great turkey sandwiches at the Speedway. That part I remember.
Yeah, that turkey farm's, the sheds are still there, but it's gone.
That is some of the worst smell. I mean, I've worked with pigs and cows and sheeps and goats and rabbits, but turkeys they're the smelliest thing on the planet.
They're nasty.
Kind of how racing fuel smells good, turkeys smell bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Complete contrast.
I'll take the racing fuel.
Absolutely. Even if it does shrink your brain just a little bit.
A little tire smoke.
Yeah. You never did you wrench on cars before you were 16? Is that did you have like a mechanical background?
Well, yeah, I worked for my parents. We run a salvage yard.
Yep.
We have about 3,000 cars, and both my parents are deceased now, and I took the business over. So that's how I was around cars all my life.
So the Cedar Falls version of the Kaziskis.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Was
that's exact same thing I do. Actually, we do business together with them. Yeah,
well, make sure to jack up the prices a little bit on Joe. He's having too good of a time.
I think so. Yeah.
He's down in Arizona right now with his son. So
I know it. Yeah.
Now's the time to go raid the Kaziski Auto Parts store. Maybe you'll get some good deals.
Yeah, they're good people, man. I've known them for years. Good people.
They're big supporters of this show, and both financially and material wise. That they help us out with this and doing the Legends. So we appreciate the Kaziskis a lot, even though we like to give Joe and Steve a little grief.
Wow, yeah, they're nice people. I've raced against them for many years.
So you say
matter of fact, I'm gonna race my late model, and I bought a new modified this year, A mod.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're gonna give that a shot. I've drove them for people, but I've never owned one, and I said, hell, there's so many big paying shows around. I'm gonna get one of them things and give her a whirl.
Well, that means we could see you at the Silver Dollar Nationals then, right? Doing double duty?
Well, I don't know. I probably see that's a open motor for your late model, and I just run IMCA stuff. That big motor stuff, I ain't doing that no more. I used to do it years ago, but it's just too much work.
Yeah, I know you used to come and run Busch All-Star Tour shows and stuff, because I worked for Jim in the tech area there. And, we've met. You might not remember my name, but we've met, but I haven't seen you in probably 15 years. So.
Well, I'm still going.
Oh, me too. Me too. I just got this gig now, so it's, I don't have to go sweat at the racetrack and get my hands dirty. So. That's
right. No, I'm still kicking.
See,
I've been with Dwayne, my partner, since '95, and that's a long time to have a partner.
No, it isn't. Quit saying that.
Yeah,
it's not that long ago.
I've had Dwayne Homelar and me and his boy Mark and Kurt Woolen. They've all been on my race team since 1995, man. And I'll tell you, we've won, I think me and Dwayne together have won just about 300 features in late model.
Is Dwayne the one, is he kind of the head guy with AEM?
No, that's Kurt Woolen.
Okay, that's Kurt. Okay. Because I was going to say, I remember him.
He retired. Kurt sold all, he's closed his shop and retired.
Okay.
Take me back to this.
Dwayne,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
You take me back to this A mod that you'd bought. Who'd you get it from?
I bought it from Justin Kai.
Okay, he's the one you race against in the Deary Brothers series, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that's where our late model come from.
Okay.
It's their business is called Geared Up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're selling late models and A mods, and he's down in Arizona right now with one of these A mods
in the Wild West Shootout.
Yeah.
Why'd you decide to stop just driving them and decide to own one? Because of the big money, I guess is what you said earlier.
I haven't drove one for quite a while. I've had people call me, and I just get in their car every at a special something and try it, and I don't know. They just announced this week there's a $50,000 to win at Farley for A mods, and then they're going to have a Cedar Lake's having a $50,000 to win A mod. Marshalltown is having a $10,000 A mod. I mean, there's 30 some shows within an hour and a half of my house that pay over $2,000 to win.
Who's putting the deal together at Farley for $50,000?
Well, Farley sold. Keith Simmons is not. He don't own it no more.
Didn't know that either. I knew Keith had it.
Yeah, it just went through. Simon's, the trucking firm right next door, he's involved, and Joel Callahan and Jason Round. Them three bought it.
Did they also take West Liberty or just Farley?
I ain't heard that. I tried calling somebody today to find out, but they didn't know that. But I can't imagine that. I mean, I would assume they did, because if Keith sold that place, why the heck would he want them other places? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Man, it sounds like they're gonna take the. Have you been there and seen the little track?
And I haven't been to Farley since 2001.
Oh no! See, he shortened the track up, but the old track's still there, but he made it a 3/8, and they're gonna move the wall and put the wall up on the one corner. The one and 2 is the same corner, and then 3 and 4 they didn't have a wall around it. The little track, and they're gonna cut that wall apart on the half mile and bring it and make it the little track with a wall all the way around it.
Okay, so they shortened up the straight coming out of 4 to the flag stand is what they did.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so you're going to do a little A-mod racing. We got a couple more minutes left in this part. Let's get back a little bit to apparently the older days, the long time ago. And
here now.
Should we all start talking a little bit of an older voice? What?
Ain't that.
When did you know that you were hooked on this sport and this was going to be it for you?
Yeah, before I started. You know, I tell you what, I went when I raced street stocks, and I wanted to build a sportsman car, which they're kind of like a late model, but they had a stock Camaro front stub under them, you know. And I shit you not, I took Scott Braun's sportsman car. He brought it down to Fuzzy's in his garage, and we flipped that thing on its side. And I measured and copied that car, and I welded that thing on the floor of a garage.
Really?
I didn't jig it up, nothing. Me and Fuzzy welded that thing up, and I ain't kidding you, I won races in that car. and then Ed Sanger, he used to have a shop here in Waterloo, which he was big. I mean, they built a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off one summer and made a little money, and I told myself I want to get a Sanger car. So I went down and talked to Ed, and he'd never built a Camaro stub car. And so he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I'll tell you what, that car was a badass. I mean, I won so many races in that car. It was unbelievable. I even went to back when the Yankee used to be called the Miller at Cedar Rapids. I went down there with with that stub car and raced in the late model in that 100-lapper and got third.
Wow.
Steve Kosiski won it that year.
Well, I can.
I mean, so I was probably 1,000 pounds heavier than any, their late model cars, because them were all just a car,
Yeah.
Yeah, from being out here in Omaha, Steve Kosiski was the first Sanger car that I can remember, and I'm going to say 79 maybe, when he was running sportsman cars out at Sunset, and that car was a stub car, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been. I don't think it was, though. I don't think so, because he didn't. No, it wasn't. It had a tube. It was a tube car.
Mm.
Well, I was thinking.
I think I was the only one that ever got a Camaro stub car from Sanger.
I wonder if they hadn't taken a regular tube car then and maybe put a stub in it, stub under it for the rules back here.
Oh, you might be right. It might have been. I didn't think Ed built no other ones but mine. But
we've got Steve coming on the show in a couple of weeks. We'll have to ask him, and we'll get back to you on that, so you can know if you hold that record too.
There you go. Yeah, we got. I'm going this year for Boone Nationals. If I win this year, nobody's ever won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I got 4 in a row of Nationals.
Yeah, let's talk about that in the next corner. We're going to have to figure out how to slow you down at the Boone Nationals.
Bounty. That's how you slow him down. Bounty.
Yeah. Now wait a minute. Robert Lawton. Now if something that's going to cost him money, it ain't happening.
Oh, I think he can. I think he'll come up with a $10 bounty on you. Don't worry.
Yeah, no shit. You hit it on the nose.
Let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 4. We'll wrap the show up. We'll finish talking about this. We'll get into the Iowa State Fairgrounds getting shut down. Your success at that track, your success at Boone, and your success with the Deary brothers. We'll be back with Jeff Aikey, driver of the number 77 out of Cedar Falls. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4. On the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 4. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today and having a little conversation about dirt racing. I want to say thanks to Jeff Aikey. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay. I see, and now I'm questioning myself. It's a never-ending loop of me screwing things up. I've been butchering his name. You should have heard the names he called me off the air. See there, it's the phone bleeped him again.
Yeah, there you go.
We're talking with Jeff about his time in the Deary brothers throughout the area, winning races and having a good old time. What's if you could pick one of your favorite things, not turning laps around the racetrack, but while you're at the racetrack, what's another one of your favorite things?
I just enjoy going and walking around and talking to people.
Yeah.
I walk around the pits and bull crap around with everybody.
So
and I enjoy that.
So a pretty friendly guy then. I mean, we've had fun in the 20 minutes we've been talking, so I can imagine you're pretty personable and easy to get along with. You don't have many fights in the pits with guys?
No, I don't.
Have you ever?
But I mean, I might get mad at somebody, but when I'm in my race car, I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
I'm worried about me getting to the front.
Typical driver.
See, that's different. When I'm out of my truck, I don't have any friends. People seem to like me when I got my truck.
They might not like me in the car, but out of the car, yeah, I think I'm pretty easygoing.
What about you won your 6th IMCA Nationals Championship, 4 in a row so far. You're going for 5 in a row next year. That's just, I mean, what is it about that track? Can you share it with us so you don't give away the family secret?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what it is about Marshalltown and Boone, but I'm good at both them tracks. I'm very good. I don't know. I just know how to get around them.
Have you ever heard of anybody putting a bounty for the Boone Nationals? I mean, at some point in time, they're going to have to entice some guys to push a little harder to get by you.
Well, there you go. Maybe you call Lottie up. Call Lottie up and get him rolling. But if I win it, you tell him I get the money.
Yeah. That's what we'll do.
There you go.
We can't give it to you. You're already winning enough.
Yeah, no, I ain't ready to quit yet.
What's your highest paying race that you've won?
I won the Yankee when it paid $15,000 to win.
Good payday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you kind of seem, from what I've been hearing, just kind of talking to learn about you, you're not that much of a prestigious race winner or a big ticket winner. Like, you won't go down to wherever 500 miles away to win a $30,000 or $40,000 race. It kind of seems like you're just out having fun. Am I anywhere close to that?
Yeah, I mean, I used to travel years ago. I've been to the World 100. I mean, I used to travel a lot, but I got a business now, and I can't travel, and it's just it's too much work.
Yeah, it really is, because it's not like it used to be,
Oh no,
the 50s, 60s.
When them guys are over the road, I feel for them, because I'm telling you what, I've done it, and I know what it takes. A lot of work, and I give it to them, man. It's a lot. It's just a lot of work.
So when you were traveling over the road, did you have the nice fancy hauler that was $1.5 million and the hot tub in the back of the...
I did have a nice... I drove for a guy named Joe Minga out of Tupelo, Mississippi. And, yeah, he had a big semi, and, yeah, I had all that stuff.
That's got to be an aid when you're talking about being over the road, and you've got a comfortable place to go at the end of the night.
Well, geez, I'm telling you, just the cleaning of your equipment is work. Mm-hmm. It's too much work. I mean, them guys, man, these rigs they got today, Jesus, they shine them things that, they work on their rigs probably more than they do on their race cars.
Yeah, you got to keep those sponsors impressed, and that's, one of the things that does that.
Did you buy much into the well, let me start again. Like Scott Bloomquist, I've always enjoyed watching him at the racetrack because it seems like he had everything squared away. And that's kind of a cliche, but his car always looked perfect, pristine.
Oh, yeah.
He always had stuff set. His pits always looked organized. His trailer was always clean and organized. Was that kind of something you did, or was it you didn't really focus that much on that aspect?
I mean, I don't think I ain't nowhere close to that, but I mean, yeah, I kept my stuff nice, but not. I mean, he's big on body. I mean, when Bloomy comes to the track, I'll guarantee you he has a new body on every night.
Yeah, and I mean, anybody that's winning like you are, you've got to have things squared away. You can't. I mean, the winning's done. The winning's done in the shop. The winning's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night.
That's what I said. I've been with Dwayne since '95, and I'll tell you what, you can count on my two hands how many times we've broke.
Mm-hmm.
Because of a mechanical. We don't. That's big. He's an awesome mechanic. I mean, and he just nitpicks everything.
Talk
don't break.
about winning the Deary's Brother Championship. You've won 7, and you've got about 68 wins in the series, which both of those is most all time. Where's it slowing down for you? Are you aiming for 8 and then you're going to retire?
No. No. You know, I went into this year, the last race, and me and Tyler Bruning were a point apart.
Yeah.
And I had a mechanical problem. I had a motor get hot on me.
Ooh.
Cost me another championship.
Those pretty tough to swallow.
You ain't a kidding, it was.
And I'm completely naive in this, so I gotta ask it, but don't think I'm trying to point out a mistake. But that was a driver mistake, right?
No.
Okay. What caused? I mean, what could you have done differently?
Well, we had a radiator cap fail.
Okay. All right.
And it just got my motor way hot, and I had to pull out.
$10 part.
How did I define that? How did a radiator cap fail? It didn't.
Well,
it leaked?
I don't know if one of our crew members didn't get it on tight or it rattled off. I don't know. We don't know.
Okay. Okay, that's
we'll just leave her at that.
All right, I'll quit asking about that.
Yeah, I mean, the 22-pound spring failed. You know.
Shit.
You know.
Yeah.
It could be any number of things like that. And
so I'm going after the 8, and I'm going trying to get 100 wins
in the Deary Brothers series.
That's right.
32 to go.
Go.
How many years do you plan on racing? Do you have that, or again, just like you said, you want to get to 100?
I don't know. I mean, I'm as long as I'm still having fun and can do it. I mean, Dwayne, my partner, he's 70 years old, and you would never know it.
Yeah.
He goes and goes and goes, man.
Well, you could be like Joe Paterno, and if you ever quit going, you just end up in the ground.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's my theory. Keep going.
You better keep going, or you're going to end up in the ground.
That could be what's keeping Dwayne young, is the fact that he is going all the time. You know.
Yeah, I tell you. You know, we don't race like we used to. We used to race 3 nights a week, and we don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go weekly anymore. I just hit the specials. So
let's talk about the Iowa State Fairgrounds. Sad news that the track announced it was shutting down at the end of last season. Is there anything?
It's already.
Yeah, it's
already bulldozed over.
It's gone, isn't it? Was there anything anybody could have done, or was that a pretty
they said they're going to build a new one.
Okay.
Off to the side, but they needed more room for their fair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
I mean, yeah, it's sad. That thing was there for over 100 years.
They ought to build something out of town so they can get rid of that curfew.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What are some of your other favorite tracks to go to besides, you said Marshalltown and Boone, obviously your favorites?
Yeah, I like going to Farley. I like their new 3/8 track. It's pretty nice. Wherever I'm going to a race, I like them. There ain't very many racetracks I don't like.
Is there anything that when you roll up to a track and they're missing something that you just kind of think, oh, man, it's going to be a longer night? Maybe there's no concrete pit stalls, or you're parking outside the pits rather than inside the pits. Is there anything specific that a track is missing that you kind of think, oh, dang it, I really like having that feature at a track?
Well, I like going to Webster City when you can park on them cement slabs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is nice, but there ain't very many tracks that got that.
Yeah.
But that is nice.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Lisa Kaziski about, the amount of money it costs to pour concrete on that infield, because we were talking after one of the championship weekends and it was just downpouring, and she said, if only we'd have had concrete pits, it'd have been easier to get some of these guys out of here. And I said, oh yeah, what's that? Yeah. She says, it'd be around $1 million to put concrete strips in there. I mean, it's just ridiculous how much concrete is.
Well, with the drain system and everything, it probably would cost that much.
It'd be costly.
Jeff, there's always one question we like to ask guys about if there's one thing they could change about dirt racing. And it doesn't necessarily be a thing that we have to point out that is bad about dirt racing. It could be anything in the world, whether it's actually possible if you're waving some fairy wand and spraying some dust that you get to change something about dirt racing or racing in general. Do you have any idea what that would be?
I mean, it could be from the fans' perspective. It could be from your driver's seat. It could be for the promoter. Anything in racing.
I think they need to pay more and charge less to get in the stands.
That'd be great.
I mean, I think it'd work.
Well, NASCAR is going to take a little bit of that approach. The ISC tracks starting this year, 12 and under for kids, they get in free to the Cup races.
Yeah, well, that's because they're hurting.
What?
I'd like to see our series get on TV.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'd be big, you know.
Well, with a $50,000 to win race at Farley, something like that might end up on MAV TV.
Boy, it'd be cool as hell. I mean,
those TV deals are helping a lot, and really the TV deal is what's kind of getting NASCAR through some of its downtime.
I mean, I think it boost our. I mean, our economy ain't bad, but I'm telling you, these racetracks there's some of them are struggling. I think they need to get the cost down to get in, and I think more people would go. And people got to eat. You'd make it back on the food, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope the new promoters at Farley get things rolling again, because that place used to really roll.
You talked about concessions at the tracks. That was something Tom Lathan went up to the World 100 this year, and he took a picture of Tony Stewart's concession stand sign, and his prices were about half the prices at any track in Nebraska or Iowa. I mean, for beer and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't got to kill everybody. I mean, that's why people are quitting going. It just the cost is too much. You know, I went down to that indoor race at
St. Louis
here. You know how much a can of beer was there?
I'll bet
$7.
18 or 16 ounces. Is it a tall boy or a regular can?
No, they were 12 regular cans, and they were $8.50 a beer.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh,
and
that's ridiculous.
That's a problem with the American capitalism right now. Is that it's so they get you into an isolated place. And anything, if you go to a concert, you go to a Monster Jam show, you go to a play, you go anywhere, and you get raked over the coals at the concession stand.
Boy, it wasn't slowing them down.
No.
Oh, absolutely not.
They were selling them like crazy.
That's the problem with capitalism, is that if it's selling, they're going to keep charging it.
Yeah, I know it. That's terrible.
But, all right, Jeff, we do appreciate your time. Any final thoughts? What do you, any ideas about being a promoter when maybe you hang up the steering wheel, maybe owning a track or two?
I don't know.
Let's get you owning that Farley track.
I got a buddy of mine bugging me right now to do that, but maybe in my older days. I'm still young yet, you know.
We might have to road trip. Have to road trip to come drink some of that cheap beer you're going to sell.
There you go.
There you go. All right, man.
We appreciate your time. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. I had fun talking to you guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Jeff Aikey. Got it right. Aikey. Driver the number 77. Still an active driver, but he is on our list for the Legends of the Dirt series. You can catch him throughout the Midwest racing for the Deary Brothers.
And we forgot to tell him before we let go that I think he set another record with 8 bleeps.
Yes, that is a record, actually. Normally when we do interviews, there's only 1 or 2, but there was 8 bleeps in his 25 minutes, 30 minutes on the show. I'm going to be busy in the editing booth after that one. We got to wrap it up. We appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks a lot for sticking around and listening to The Front Stretch. We'll be back next weekend to do it all again. This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The official watering hole of The Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the high-octane excitement you've been looking for. It's the Metro's largest indoor track with eco-friendly, low-emission engines. You can enjoy fast-paced road course racing just across the river at Joe's Karting, located near Bass Pro in the Mid-America Center on 23rd Avenue and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. Open Monday to Thursday, 2 to 10, Fridays until 11, Saturdays 11 to 11, and Sundays noon to 8.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.